The following production is part of the Play Some Video Games podcast network.
Welcome to PSVG episode 177. Before we get started, we'd like to thank our supporters over on Patreon. Wait a minute. Am I allowed to read this? Kevin's not here. Okay, they said I can read this stuff, so I'm just going to read this now. So special thanks to Coach Hulk, Edwin Callow, better known as Callow, Devin Tyus, Kevin Austin. You support your own show? That's weird. Chris M., Kyle Hyman, Mr. Josh Barboni, Barry Cathcart, and Paul Calico. Also, we want to mention that this month's giveaway is sponsored by this very show, PSVG Prime, in case you didn't know what you were listening to. So for this month, we naturally had to do something special, and we have. The winner of this month will receive one of those crisp black PSVG polo shirts. You could wear it to a wedding. You could wear it golfing. You could wear it sporting about town. It is functional and it's beautiful. What more could you ask for? So if you aren't already a member of the Patreon, why don't you sign up now? And just for $1, you get entered into this giveaway and many, many others that aren't shirts. And you also get access to what is probably the best dollar you will ever spend for the PSVG DLC. Stuff gets pretty crazy over there, so you might want to give it a shot and take a listen because it's wackiness. But for now, let's get on to this week's episode of PSVG. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to PSVG Prime, the crown jewel of the PSVG podcast. We're the only one who say that, but we believe in it, and that's our mantra. We're part of the PSVG network of shows, and the only gaming podcast that offers more content for less than a Disney Plus subscription. It is I, your host, Lucas. Yes, that's right, Lucas. You heard me right. And with me this week is none other than Josh himself, the Bonesaw. How you doing?
I'm doing great. You guys are stuck with me 2 weeks in a row.
I think we are going to take the tag team title because you and I are often together whenever, someone has to step down. Uh-huh. You and I come in and we clean up house is what we do.
Don't tell Kyle that.
I won't. Everyone's got a side guy, right? Side guy.
Well, I don't know if I can say that everyone does, but
well,
sure.
You do, my friend. We do. And
I guess I'll say that definitively. Yes. Everyone has a side guy.
Yes. Just blanket statements, no regrets. Just say what you think.
I'm good. I'm talking about Breath of the Wild later, so I love blanket statements.
Hey, you're with it. You're in a safe space, good company. You can say whatever you feel. No one will judge you. Literally no one. I'm actually going to go first if that's okay, because I really only have one thing to talk about. No one wants to hear me talk about Mutant League Hockey Zero or anything like that. I'm going to talk about one of the most electrifying and exciting games that you could probably wish for on your wish list. And that is the open beta for Anno 1800. Everyone's talking about this. Now, I actually only knew of this because of you, Josh. You had mentioned in the Discord, you were like, "Is anyone going to play this open beta?" And I was like, "Oh, open beta, free game. Let me go check it out right away." So I did, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember this." I know they have like an Anno 1600 or something like that, and then another one that takes place in the future. But I've never played either of them. I'm only slightly knowledgeable that it exists at all, this Anno franchise. What about you? Did you know of this at all?
I had never heard of it. I didn't know what it was. And I think I got an email from Ubisoft about it. And even in the email, there was like 3 pictures, but I still couldn't tell what the game was from the pictures. So
what is this? Is this a steampunk simulator? What's going on? Yeah, I've literally never heard anyone talk about this franchise in my entire life, but I decided to play it anyways. I had one heck of a long day on Saturday, I think it was, or no, Friday. And I said, well, let me play this really slow moving and sleep inducing game. And so I did so. What it is it's a town builder game in which you want to gather resources, sort of like let me see if I can think of something. There's not much combat, at least there wasn't any in the open beta. I was wondering how far you could go, and there's a campaign, and there is an end to that campaign. I think it lets you get towards the middle of chapter 2 before you have to bow out and stop playing. And there also was a sandbox mode, but when I tried to launch that, it crashed. And so I was like, yep, I guess I'm not going to play this ever again. But I played through the campaign in 2 sittings. And what you do is you build up, you get kicked out of this European island community. There's a whole story reason behind it, but I'm not going to go into it. Basically, you go off to another island that has been unsettled. It's kind of run down. There's some buildings that were there before, but they're now all in disarray, and you just have to tear them down and start anew. And you also have to bring over a bunch of people from the other island with you so that you have enough workers and people to get stuff done. It's a very economically driven game. And what I really enjoyed about it is that much like any town builder, you have buildings that you have to plop down on the landscape, and they serve functions like woodcutters. And then of course you need a sawmill because you can't chop down a tree and it'll turn into boards. You have to turn that log into some boards, right? Well, in this, because usually these games tend to be really menu heavy and there's a lot of statistical analyzing of data and all this other stuff. What they've done is they put each job type, I guess. So let's say, or resource, let's say wood. They put that into one button that kind of collapses into another set of that entire chain of making wood products. So you open the wood resource menu and it says you need a lumberjack camp. I'm a lumberjack and that's okay. And then it says you also need a sawmill, and that will complete the entire cycle of everything you're trying to accomplish here. They also do the same thing for making beer, making sails and stuff for making ships, because obviously in the 1800s, ships were a pretty big deal. You do a lot of sailing in the 1800s. So yeah, it's just a really slow kind of economical game that you're just kind of trying to take care of the next thing that they're asking for in this campaign. So you have some guidance, you want to get 50 workers or you want to get 100 farmers or whatever it is. You have a task and it's led through by this campaign, the story. It's not the most compelling story in the world, but there is enough intrigue that it gives you a reason to do these things. And I find that to be driving enough. Like there's enough freedom that you can build your town. And I remember the days when these things used to be mission based and you'd build a town and then it would move on and it would reload the map. And it wasn't quite the town that you had built. It was like a different town, but supposedly the same one. No, this is all one long, game where it never reloads again. You just continue building upon your town. And I enjoyed that. It really started to feel like my town instead of the town I have to build to get to the next mission. So overall, I'd say it actually interests me more than I thought it would. I think I would put this on my wish list and wait for it to go on sale. Mostly because it's not something I'm dying to play, but I found myself more interested in it than I thought I would be. So I'd probably wait until it dropped down to like the $15 price, just for me specifically. But yeah, I was fairly impressed. And other than that one crash I talked about trying to load sandbox mode, it ran pretty good too. So looked good as well. So nice. Pretty good economical strategery game that kind of came out of nowhere for me.
Very cool.
So that's all I did. How about you, sir?
Did that beta end this weekend?
I believe it was only a weekend beta.
Just for the weekend.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, well, before we started tonight, I try to go through my like Humble Bundle games when I get on the PC.
Yes.
So earlier today, I was trying Rapture Rejects, which is a cyanide and happiness game. But I guess it's a battle royale game. But I waited 3 minutes and nothing launched. So I quit.
I hate when that happens.
But there's an interesting character selection thing that you can do where you can choose some Conan-esque settings.
Is this what you sent a picture of earlier when you were like, this looks like a Flexipose game?
Yeah.
I was wondering what that was, but now I know. So
that's what you can do when you select your character. Anyways, join the Discords if you want to know what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I played Rock of Ages 2, which is not from the film.
Yes, Rock of Ages, or the song. Yes, I have also dabbled in this game. I wonder how long you lasted, because I did not last very long.
I did a tutorial, and then I did the Joan of Arc mission, and essentially, okay. So to describe this game, besides the quirky, would be it has the mini map of Cuphead. So you go through the mini map, walking or rolling to locations, and it's if you've ever played the games when you're a kid with the wooden box with the dials on the side with the
like the labyrinth,
the labyrinth game, the silver marble in the middle. Essentially, this is that, but you're a rock, and your goal is to roll, like you play a historical figure and you're attacking other historical figures and they're doing it also. And your goal is to roll your rock all the way down this course and crash into the castle walls. But there's large crevices, and before each match starts, it's like a tower defense almost. You can build walls, you can build catapults, you can build attack elephants, you can build...
can you build relationships? That's what I want to know.
You're tearing down relationships.
Oh, darn. But we're breaking down walls and borders.
Breaking down walls and killing people.
Yes, that's also true.
But it wasn't what I didn't know what to expect. It wasn't what I expected. I did one more mission than I thought I would, so I guess I enjoyed it a little bit.
Can I ask you a question though? When you saw this and didn't know really what it was beyond looking at the cover, because doing a Humble Bundle, sometimes in a way, it's almost hearkening back to renting video games where you would just rent something because you saw the cover and it looked cool. So when you saw this, what were you expecting exactly? Because I didn't know what to expect.
So it was like, I think the cover has like a rock with a face on it.
Very big boulder, kind of cartoony looking.
Yeah, almost like the Man in the Moon type kind of look.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess I kind of imagined it like maybe a Katamari game. So I guess it's kind of close.
Yeah, I could see that.
But yeah, I mean, that's really the only thing I could compare it to because it was comical.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It kind of felt like Monty Python and the Holy Grail at the beginning.
The cutscenes, they try a little too hard to be like the Flying Circus.
Yes, that is true.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So I did play that. I've been playing Far Cry New Dawn some more. I was trying to go back and forth between that and Division, like one day Far Cry, one day The Division. Mm-hmm. I'm not loving New Dawn as much as I loved Far Cry 5 though. So
whoa. Them slowed down. Words.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it still looks incredible, but I think that there's less interesting things to do in this one than in the first, and then in Far Cry 5. So it's not really grabbing my attention as much. I feel like I'm doing a mission that I keep going back to like the main camp, and then go out again, and then come back again. I don't have that feeling of like exploration like I did in the first one.
You keep getting called back to this base, so you just go out a little bit and then come back and then go out and come back.
Yeah, you get like quests. You get missions to like you're trying to build up prosperity, which is like your home encampment.
Aren't we
so
all?
You have to keep going back and bringing ethanol to level it up to unlock other things.
So it's kind of a base builder in a way too.
It is. Which is a bit different from the first Far Cry, or from Far Cry 5. No base building in Far Cry 5.
Okay.
So maybe that's why maybe that's the disconnect for me.
Do you still have to like kill 10 cheetahs to make a wallet or a quiver? Like, is that still a thing?
I haven't explored the animal missions yet. There are,
because that's my favorite part of Far Cry.
Yeah, I ran into a yellow bear. I guess yellow is like legendary. I fired like 3 rocket launchers into it and didn't kill it. I'm like, okay.
I think those are rare. I mean, not rare. I mean, I think those are endangered.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking of yellow panda.
I'm pretty sure 1 rocket launcher should kill any animal in that game.
Yeah, one rocket launcher should kill anything anywhere, pretty much.
Yeah,
but
pretty much. I've been playing a bunch more of the Division 2. I play with Kyle when I can, but I'm mostly playing it solo. I'm up to level 19 now, just about like halfway through level 19. I'm having fun. I feel like I'm still running into a lot of the same thing where I'm trying to do these side missions, and they're getting just a little repetitive as far as I can only stop so many propaganda broadcasts.
Oh, the activities those are very repetitive.
Yeah, I did one yesterday. I was like, I did this one already, and I didn't. It was just a very similar looking location.
Yeah, and every area has the same activities. Basically, it's just in a different area of the map because it's all broken down into different sections, so you know what level you should be when you go in there. But all the activities are the same.
I feel like the missions themselves are unique enough. Like the levels, the atmosphere is very good. I liked like the Natural History Museum and the Space Center. And all these things, very cool. I'm really enjoying the game, and I mean it's a looter shooter, so like great. I'm getting loot. I haven't gotten any yellow guns yet. The highest I've gotten is purple.
I've had yellow gear, but no yellow guns.
Okay, yeah, I haven't found any yellows. I played with Kyle like a week ago. I'm getting greens. He's dropping yellows, and he's only like a level 18 at that time. I'm like, oh my god.
Jeez.
So I need to get that.
I'll have what he's having. Yeah. I have a question for you. How tired are you of getting the message that you need to go up to the roof at the end of every single mission that you do? Because I swear every mission ends up go up to the roof, and then of course you have to use your little rappelling thing. And
I was like, what are you talking about? Now I get it. Yeah. Always like you have to fight a boss at the roof of whatever. At the
roof. Yep. It's like,
and then the worst ones are like if you have to go back down, and then the hyenas are coming back in.
Yeah. We've noticed some enemy movement coming towards your location.
Yeah, and if you don't get on that turret, it's the long fight.
Yes, that's true. You pass it early in the mission, and you're like, well, I'll see you soon. I'll be back for you, because you know what that means.
I think I'm at the point where I'm going to enjoy it more when I can play it cooperatively, before I start losing interest in the game.
Yeah, I would, since you're on the cusp of playing it on the PC as well, if it starts to be a drag, I would wait, because hold off on it, because whenever Callow and I play together, even though it's just me and him, and we might not even be on mic together, it brings more to the game. Like the game steps its game up a little bit, and then it gets more interesting, because if I'm alone, it's not really that difficult at all, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and definitely adds. I would imagine it adds more fun to it playing with other people, and you don't feel like you're going to get flanked at any second because it's just you.
Yes, those stinking rusher, the ones with the lightning bolt. I hate those guys. Oh,
yeah. And then so then I'm playing some more Breath of the Wild. So you've beat Breath of the Wild, right?
Yes.
Played it. Okay. So let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Is everything I do, is it supposed to feel like I'm doing it the wrong way every time I do something? Because I got to the central tower today, which is surrounded by guardians that are shooting at me while I'm trying to climb it. I don't know how to defeat a guardian. I tried using my shield, and it destroyed my shield.
Yep.
And it killed me.
Yep.
So like my wife's watching me. I'm climbing the tower. I feel like, okay, maybe this is the way I'm supposed to be doing it. I'm not killing any of the guardians. They're all shooting at me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, it feels challenging and difficult enough. After I just got out of a shrine that had like 6 of the micro guardians, whatever those things were.
Yeah.
That drop the swords or the spears when you kill them.
Yeah.
So like I I don't want to say that I'm not enjoying it, because I'm not enjoying it. However,
It's a struggle.
I'm not, like, there's nothing pushing me to keep playing as far as enjoyment goes.
Okay.
So am I doing it wrong? Should, like,
No. This is the whole time I'm just like, yep. Because I'm thinking back to times where I felt that way too. And I don't think I could quite put my finger on it like you did, like playing it wrong. It always feels like you're constantly wandering into the higher level sections of a game that you're like, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to be here, but you can be there. It's not designed that way. I had to do a lot of untraining my brain from this game with like the breakable weapons and the way that you can head out in any direction and sort of the open nature of the quests and everything. So I think of a couple of times, specifically there's a mission with some really strong Lionel character that you're supposed to go and steal something from. I don't remember. He's on some mountaintop and he will kill you if he finds you. That's one thing that I felt like I was doing wrong. Another time there's a tower, a similar tower situation, but it's surrounded by some like goop that you can't walk into. And it's also constantly being electrified or in danger of being hit with lightning.
yeah.
And so like that took away all of my awesome weapons. And so I couldn't really defend myself while I was doing it. And there was platforming in that area. So yeah, I know what you mean. It feels finicky at times. It feels like you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Blood Moon thing pops up and I'm like, oh, harder enemies are going to start showing up at some
Everything
Awesome.
I just did was undone. Cool. Yes. And I don't know if I ever shared really the last bit of my experience, but I put the game down for probably a month. And then I said to myself, I need to come back to this and beat it, or else I probably will just leave it for so long that I have to restart it.
Yeah.
And I basically just rushed to the end because I got to a point where I wasn't really having fun with it. Like the whole splendor of and beauty and majesty of the game kind of wore off. And I was just kind of feeling like I was doing a bunch of, I don't want to say fetch quests, but when you're trying to figure out how you're supposed to be able to even infiltrate the Hyrule Castle when there's all these guardians, and like you were saying, half the game you feel like you can't kill them anyway. Yeah. I was just like, what am I supposed to do here? So I rushed to the end about halfway through the game just to be done with it so I could say beat it. So I mean, I know everyone talks about how great it is, and it is a good experience to go into the world and play the game, at least from my point of view. But as far as the game design of it goes, I would say at best it's not for everyone. Sure. I could see why some people would hate this one as a Zelda game.
Yeah, it might not be for me. I mean, I don't by all means, I don't not like the game. Like, it definitely has its appeal. I don't know. I feel like it's like a challenge because people are like, you must not like Zelda games if you don't like this game. And I'm like, I've liked all the Zelda games.
It's a little Dark Souls.
Wind Waker.
Yeah, and that one's derisive as well. It's a little Dark Soulsy because people are like, oh, you didn't beat Dark Souls, you must not be a gamer then. You know, it's like, oh, you didn't like Breath of the Wild? Do you hate fun? What's wrong with you? It's like, geez, calm down.
But yeah, I mean, so it is what it is. I'm going to keep playing. I don't dislike it. I don't know how long I can keep going until I'm done saying I want to give it a fair shot. Like, I don't know how far that is.
How long is a fair shot? Is it, 60 hours playtime? Because
right.
Well, would you agree if I said I think they made a lot of decisions in this game that, while they weren't bad decisions by any means, they really drew a line into the type of game where you either love it or you hate it. For instance, of course, everyone talks about the weapon durability, that type of thing. They made a lot of other decisions like that.
It is aggressively an MMO. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Open world is what I meant to say.
Oh,
open
okay.
world RPG. It's like aggressively open world RPG. Like, they're like,
yeah,
like that. I was talking about it the other day. It was on Here Aboard with Video Games that, like, when you have to go from the plateau to Kokoriko Village, like that is a quest itself just to get there.
Yes, that's quite a walk.
It looks so close on your mini map, and that's where it really established to me how big the game is.
Mm-hmm.
So like right away after I finished that little plateau, which was still pretty big, the game really said to me like, "Hey, you're in an open world game." And then I can't say back like but I don't like open world games. I like video games. So I'm giving it a shot. I'm trying to be fair, and I think it's important to people like us who do this for not work but for fun, that we can talk about an experience with this game, whether we finish it or not, because it is still a game I think that every gamer, quote gamer, needs to play.
Yeah,
in their life.
I think there's a lot of design choices that are very positive too. And I mean, you can't say that this game is ugly. This game is beautiful. The sound design, especially. Oh my gosh.
I have no desire to cook food.
That music's pretty fun though. If that played when I was really cooking food, I'd probably get a lot more done in the kitchen. But
in my inventory, I'm like, well, why do I have all these things? I just want my health restored.
I heard the best quest in the entire game though is collecting 900 Korok seeds. Like that's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound like fun, but
I want to get rid of trophies in the Batman games. I'm not gonna get 900 anything.
That's true.
Unless it's debts.
The only 900 things I want to collect are dollars from patrons. So sign up now.
I'm on board with
that. Shall we move into the news?
I think we should.
Of the week.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite news outlet on the Citadel.
Josh, why don't you take a break while I talk some? I almost got you. Let's start with PC news, gosh darn it, because I feel like the PC doesn't get enough love around here. So I'm bringing it hard. Let's talk. Josh, how's your singing voice?
Fun story. I once got booed at karaoke.
Oh no, that's not fun. That's sad.
So it's not good. Oh, and I was once playing Rock Band in my apartment, and my folks live on the first floor or on the second floor, and I was just living by myself at the time.
Okay.
And I was singing Weezer, and my dad called me and said, "What's happening? What is," and he said, "That sounds terrible. What are you doing?" So I hope both of those answer your question.
What was the song that you were singing at the I'm assuming karaoke bar?
It must have been Buddy Holly.
Okay. So Weezer fan. You're a Weezer fan then, it's safe to say.
Yes. That's also part of the probably a mission that I had to do in Rock Band, so maybe not.
Oh, okay. Well, guess what? If you want to bring those dulcet tones over to Twitch with me, we can sing a duet. There's a free live stream karaoke game. And speaking of which, it was co-developed by Rock Band and Guitar Hero Studio Harmonix Music Systems. Surprisingly has nearly 2,000 songs to choose from. How is that even possible? I don't even have 2,000 songs on my Spotify list. Like the big one where I just dump all the stuff.
Don't worry, they're not all good songs, I promise you.
That's probably true. That's probably true. They couldn't possibly be. And they're all in the style of cover versions. There's the, I just had to read a couple more words, really. Yeah, so it's not how you remember it. But then you don't feel as bad when you screw it all up and sound terrible. So
I'm not, you need to find a different person than me.
I will only do it if there are copious amounts of alcohol, because I need liquid courage. You can duet, but you can't do it live. Instead, one player can record half of the duet, upload it, and then their partner sings the other half over the recording. Interesting. Because it's built by Twitch, you can stream directly to the platform without having to use streaming software such as OBS. You can customize your onstage avatar and change the backdrop of your performance. Pick tracks from a library of songs organized into playlists such as Easy to Sing, the Josh category.
I mean, I'll watch you do it. I'm not getting
No,
involved.
I'm not going to do this. I would get made fun of. I would probably be booed digitally off the stage. Oh, you can just display an avatar. So maybe I can just make a new Twitch account and then call them like, something totally not my name, and then nobody would know it was me. So for all you wannabe sing stars out there, you can go on Twitch because there's not enough. Have you ever scrolled through Facebook or anything, or maybe on YouTube? You get those weird commercials for people and they're singing. I think it's like an app that you can download on your phone.
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah, exactly. Popular kids music. Yeah. And then I'm like, why is the sound on all the way for some reason? And now my wife's wondering why I'm listening to Kesha. What's going on? So yeah, you can stream that from your phone and everyone will listen. Also, this being Game of Thrones preview or not preview.
It's on in 4 minutes.
Yeah, it's not exactly. That's why no one's listening right now. They're like, I need to watch Game of Thrones. Are you a Game of Thrones guy?
Yeah, I have to shut everything off now, social media wise.
Yes, for the spoilies. Yes, of course. Well, you can throw some games up in here if you want. And this article from PC Gamer has listed every single Game of Thrones game that you can play on the PC, some of which I'm even familiar with, most of which I am not. There's one called the Game of Thrones Genesis.
Interesting.
Have you heard of this? It looks like a board game brought to life to a certain degree. It's
interesting.
Currently sitting with mostly negative reviews on Steam.
Just read that, yeah.
Overly long and incoherent campaign with slightly more praise for the skirmish mode. When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or die. There is no middle ground. This dies.
That's
everyone. Yeah, that is very harsh. Although I'm kind of not surprised, but what can you say? Game of Thrones, the Telltale series, of course. Have you played the Telltale Game of Thrones?
I have. I didn't finish it. I do have the whole series though. It was good from what I played. I think I played the first three. And then I didn't finish it.
See, here's the thing. I feel like 3 was tough to get through, and then 4 and 5, or however many there were, 4, 5, and 6. The last 2 made it worth it, but there was definitely maybe it was 2, episode 2. But either way, there was one episode in there that kind of started to kill the momentum, and then the rest of it was totally worth it because then things started happening. So yeah, the Game of Thrones, the Telltale series games, you can get for like $8 now. So I would recommend it if you like those games.
Of that first game you mentioned.
What's that? Trying to find it?
The Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones Genesis is $10.
$10. Does it tell you what it is? It's got to be a strategy. What?
Yeah,
not gonna buy it?
Yes. I'm not gonna buy it. Just because it is multiplayer though, so we wouldn't be making that mistake again.
Okay. Well, maybe we should have to play it as punishment.
Maybe. Yeah, it's a strategy game, so it's like Age of Empires with dragons.
Well, it looks like it was built on the Warcraft 3 engine, so
okay, yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
It's bad. It's bad. Speaking of bad, the Game of Thrones role-playing game. Now, this is the weird one that came out of nowhere. Cyanide, the studio that also made Genesis. Okay, so I remember this was I have this game. I have not played it, but it's kind of one of those games I've talked about where it's kind of just everything's slightly off. Doesn't play quite what you would expect as a AAA experience. It says right here at the end, unfortunately, it's let down by a bland art direction, dated graphics, forgettable fights, and inconsistent writing, which if you want your Game of Thrones games to be anything, it should have good writing, right? I mean, it's based on books. Yeah, exactly. Then, of course, the card game, Reigns, Game of Thrones edition. Never did play Reigns. You have that on your phone?
I got it when it released.
Would you recommend?
It's tough. I don't remember what I paid for it. It's interesting. I never played Reigns, the regular game, but essentially scenario based. So you start as a character. I think you get to pick from 2. And you can start as Cersei, and essentially you play Cersei, and then you make decisions. Like someone comes to you, you decide to do something. You have like one or the other decision, and each decision obviously like spirals out.
Okay.
And you want to live as long as possible. The longer you live, the more characters you unlock to play as.
In subsequent plays. Okay.
I haven't finished a whole line with everybody, so I don't know if there is an end to each character's thing, but I think ultimately it gets harder and harder to live, and then you just die. And then like Jon Snow and like Tyrion.
Okay.
It was interesting. If you can get it on sale, I would say it's worth a shot. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, it's probably worth checking out. It's by Devolver Digital, right? So they're pretty great at what they do. I think it's by Devolver. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also not very like it seems not very involving. You know, you can just kind of play it on your own time if you feel like not playing something super over the top involving. And then lastly is Game of Thrones Winter is coming. Now this one runs in your browser. The words "the officially licensed browser game" have rarely gotten us excited, this article says, but this is the newest Game of Thrones game you can actually play right now. Might have seen ads for it on YouTube. We actually
$1,000 in microtransactions. Purchase.
Wow. Black diamonds they are. Everyone remembers the part in the actually there might be a part in the books or something where there's black diamonds, but spoilers. Yeah. There's a character called the Black Diamond. Plus Melisandre inexplicably turns up to advise you on upgrading your barracks, which seems slightly out of character. That is true. She probably wants to set them all on fire. Also spoiler. So yeah, if you can't get enough Game of Thrones, because there's only going to be 6 episodes and then it's done, right? 6 80-minute episodes or something like that. So the after you binge
something minutes.
Oh man. Can't get enough. Well, if you don't want to have to read any books, you can go and play these games on PC. Oh, PC. Who plays games on PC? All right. Speaking of PC, why don't we move over to Xbox? Because that's just a PC, right?
Okay. I mean, yeah, I guess you could argue that for sure.
What you got?
All right. So this is more rumor mill than anything, but let's start with Microsoft's affordable all-digital Xbox One S leaks online.
Oh, man.
So this is the long rumored. I thought this was very interesting, and you'll know why. Okay. First of all, they are saying what we know, it's a discless Xbox One S, the all digital. We don't know what they're going to call it yet, but probably all digital. Now it's going to be about $250 and it is supposedly coming with pre-installed Minecraft, Sea of Thieves, and Forza Horizon 3.
Pre-installed.
Now, here's the thing. If this is a 500 gigabyte Xbox and it's coming installed with
so it comes half full
plus the OS, you might already be deleting games once you open it up.
I see 2 games on that list I would be deleting immediately.
Actually,
I'll let you guess.
A new video of the new Sea of Thieves content, and it actually looks really fun.
I always thought the game looked fun, but I knew no one was ever going to play it. So I just didn't even bother. I was like, nope. Pirate game, there can't be. How many people have been saying to themselves for years, man, you know what? We need open world pirate game that's multiplayer. Not one.
Here's the big thing. Here's the thing that surprised me. They're saying the release date is April 16th. That is 2 days from today, 1 day from when people are listening. They have their next Xbox Insider is April 16th.
So wait,
like, it's available now.
Yeah, they're going to say, I have a hard time believing that Target, Walmart, and Best Buy all got hush-hush, secretly stocked these in their storerooms. And boxes
then with hard dates on the outside of them.
Yeah, but how would that not be leaked then? I guess in a way this has been leaked, but
yeah,
I'm believe it.
It's more along the lines of the reveal, the announcement.
Yeah. Me
I would
too.
be very surprised if it was the 16th. But here's what I think, and I don't know. You can let me know what you think. But I still think 250 is too high for all digital Xbox One S. I think 200 is like the bullseye for that.
Well, you also have to consider that you get the Xbox One controller, which is pretty solid as controllers go.
Sure.
And they will have you believe that thing is worth like $50, or at least it was in the beginning of
60. So yes.
Yeah. So that's part of the problem. But yeah, I mean,
they're not making this console. Okay, so this console is great. I don't think they're not looking to make money. They're looking to get people on the bandwagon of digital services.
Yeah.
They need to like be selling this at cost.
Well, to me, it's like when you go to Verizon and they give you a phone practically for free, right, and then they make it up because they have you for life, basically. Yeah, I would agree. It is pretty pricey, especially when you're getting close to that $300 mark. Yeah. I don't think ripping a Blu-ray drive out of there really did much.
No, unless it comes with like 6 months of Game Pass or something, then maybe that's more along the lines of a good price point.
Yeah, I could see that. It does come with 3 games. Minecraft could be a seller, but
for kids, it's a seller for sure. But how long has that game been out? It might basically be free with every console on the market.
Right. Well, apparently by the time this thing releases, you'll say that about all 3 of these games. Because
it's Forza Horizon 3, not 4. We're talking about a 3 game here.
That's true. That's true.
And Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, I don't know. This might be. Maybe they'll try to get as much as they can off from the front, and then they'll just drop this thing down to like $220. You know what I mean?
E3 announcement, like you can go get a cheapo at E3 or something.
Yeah, that could be too.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting, and it would be pretty big if in 2 days' time they announce this is out.
They'd be the first discless system, right?
Yeah,
that was really weird. Except for what?
The NES, the Super Nintendo.
Yeah. Well, I guess technically the Switch doesn't have a disc system either. Discless system is not very fun to say, but it also sounds like a band that might do like prog rock or some kind of techno. So yeah, I'm going to trademark that band name. Okay. Well, we'll keep eyes on that because I'm definitely interested to see how that could either go really wrong or really right. I feel like.
I know, right? Okay, that's all the Xbox news. Do you want me to cover Star Wars Jedi?
Yeah, let's talk some Star Wars. I can always talk Star Wars. You know this.
All right, well, it's Star Wars Celebration.
Yes.
Star Wars Weekend, some would call it. Yesterday. Oh, man, what day is it, Lucas? Yesterday.
Sunday, that's all I know.
The trailer for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. That might have been this morning. Was it this morning?
No, I think I watched it yesterday, so it must have been Saturday.
Okay. That must be what it was. So here's what we know. Star Wars Jedi, The Fallen Order, stars everyone's favorite Joker, the one from Gotham.
I was going to say Joker?
As Cal Kestis, a Jedi Padawan who survived Order 66 and the destruction of the Jedi Order. He's also from Shameless. That is also something that is important to people.
You have to say that.
Respawn revealed more details about the upcoming game. He's playing characters hiding from the Empire after the fall of the Jedi. And he works as a salvager, so think like what Rey does at the beginning of Force Awakens.
Yeah, it's very similar.
And he's on a new planet in Star Wars called Bracca. He's going to have a small droid companion named BD-1.
You have to have the small droid companion.
You got it. It looks similar to the one they introduced, if you watch more Star Wars stuff, for BB-8's companion in the new Star Wars.
Yes, I saw that.
He will also have a former Jedi Knight as his mentor and friend. She is being played by actress Deborah Wilson. What we did get to see was a story trailer. We saw a little cameo of some wall running in the trailer. And essentially, the main character is kind of telling you without telling you, like, you need to like hide your Jedi abilities and keep it quiet. And he's like traversing all these like cityscapes trying to be like play incognito, but you see like he can't trust everyone. There's stormtroopers hunting him, and they introduced what we are calling them purge troopers, which are melee focused.
They have eating disorders.
Yes. I don't know where to go from there. That's okay. They have a pretty cool looking Sith Inquisitor with them in some of the concept art. So that
second sister, I believe, isn't she from or weren't they in Rebel Dawn, Rebel Alliance?
From the Rebel show you're talking about?
The Rebels, yeah, the show.
Okay.
Weren't there second sisters there?
Second sister sounds very familiar. I have like the Star Wars Destiny card game, and I know that I've seen second sister before. I just don't know that reference.
Too many dang rebels. How many rebels are in this gosh darn universe after all anyway? Second sisters. I'll do a little bit of research. You go on. How about that?
So it will be single player only. Will not contain any microtransactions. It doesn't have loot boxes. However, here's what and it's coming out November 15th on all the consoles except for the Switch, which makes sense. Here's the
Does it though?
Well, yeah. I mean, we'll see how my Mortal Kombat 11 and Senua's Sacrifice look on the Switch, but I have a feeling that it probably doesn't belong on the Switch. It's on Unreal Engine 4, so no Frostbite, and the director is Stig Asmussen, who led development on God of War 3. So they got a good director for the game. The big news in our Discord, the chat today was it's being described as a borrowing the parry system from the Soulsborne games. So people here, we had a whole conversation. There's a big difference between the difficulty of a Soulsborne game and the combat of one. So for me, I want to wait to see some gameplay before I get too excited. Like, the thought of a solid single player Star Wars game is very exciting to me. But we really just only saw a cinematic trailer for story. So I'm waiting. I want to wait till, I'm assuming, E3 when we get to see some actual gameplay before I get excited.
Well, my default state is always to hate everything new, especially if it's something that I love. So I will hate this until I improve differently. But in all seriousness, the second sister thing, I think it's because there's seventh sister, fifth brother, all these different characters that have those names. So that's probably why it sounds, they're all Inquisitors. And one of them was in Star Wars Rebels, at least I know. Yeah, I'm here's the thing. If this looks like it's going to be good, and I feel like it probably will be, or at least good enough, I will pre-order this, because I was so outspoken about Battlefront 2 and how I wasn't going to buy that game because we didn't need another first person shooter Star Wars game like that, team shooter, that I will have to pretty much put my money where my mouth is if I have any credibility whatsoever. I feel fairly confident that this will be okay. As someone who's played Dark Souls, I think a lot of the difficulty doesn't come from the combat necessarily, which it is difficult. The problem comes from, at least the earlier Dark Souls games, when they hide enemies behind doors and, stuff like that, or level design where you're forced to fight on a ledge that's about, the width of your foot, and you're supposed to go 20 yards in that direction and then have a fight with 5 gargoyles or something. Something tells me that's probably not going to happen in this game. Plus, you also have force powers, which would probably help in that situation. So I'm wondering if maybe it will be as difficult as you want it to be kind of game, where you'll have force powers that will help you, but you don't necessarily have to rely on those. But more importantly to me, I would like to see some weight brought back into lightsaber combat.
Yes.
I remember what was the Star Wars Jedi Knight 2, I think, where you could select from 3 different styles of Jedi fighting and everything. So you'd have like a quick, a moderate, and a really heavy, slow style. And I'm not saying like I want all that, but it would be nice to have more of a deliberate pace to the sword fighting, as opposed to kind of like Kylo Ren in the movies. Like he's basically wielding the broadsword version of a lightsaber when everyone else has katanas. You know what I mean? So I'm cautiously hopeful as well. Let's just put it that way.
All right, so $60 game. How long does the story need to be for it to be worth the $60 price tag for you?
Ooh. Okay, so if it's old fashioned and you just go through levels and do all that, I would say about 12 hours. Honestly, I'd have no problem with it being 12. 8 is a little bit short, but I would do 12 and be comfortable with that.
Okay, cool.
What about you?
I don't know that I don't know that I have a time, because it's hard. Like, so if I use like my gold standard is like Horizon Zero Dawn. So I think like you got about 8 hours of good story content out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, like the game itself was much longer.
Yeah.
With side missions and stuff. So if we're looking at like side quests and things you can do off the beaten path, I'm okay with an 8-hour story as long as I'm playing the game for like 20 plus hours.
I'm okay with that as well, as long as they're the quality of like the Witcher games or something like that. Not go collect all these feathers and
right.
Wookiee fur.
Or Korok seeds.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's fun. Stop it.
Yeah, sorry. Or feathers in Assassin's Creed. That's a good example too.
Those were the worst. Ugh.
Okay. Do you want to do Nintendo and then we can jump at the PlayStation? Or
Sure. Well, I'm like one of those friends that want all their friends to have their stuff because I just want to make friends. I just give all my stuff away. So it's the only way I've learned to make friends, because I'm not personable. All right. Speaking of Star Wars, let's go to Nintendo and we'll talk about a Star Wars pinball game called Balance of the Force. Well, technically called Star Wars Pinball, so you knew what it was. Balance of the Force. It's coming from Zen Studios, which of course are very much known for their pinball games. In fact, I've played VR pinball from them, and it's actually a lot better than it sounds. It's pretty cool. How excited would you be for Star Wars pinball? Because they make cool tables that really, they seem like they would work in real life, but they also are a spectacle to behold. Okay, maybe they won't. I'm sorry, I'm watching the trailer. There's like Han Solo just hopped off the table and like did some crazy stuff. So maybe they don't work in real life, but they definitely are cool to look at. Feelings about pinball games?
I love them in real life.
Okay, so you want Star Wars pinball, Balance of the Force in real life?
I played, unless we're talking Sonic Spinball, I don't know that I have any interest in a pinball game anymore.
Ooh, I think a lot of people would say that Sonic Pinball, well, wasn't it Spinball? I don't even remember. Wasn't
Spinball?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Good. I'm glad you went there.
Let's try.
Is neither a good Sonic game or a good pinball game.
Oh, for sure. I would argue that also.
It was horrible. Well, here's the thing.
I was 12 when it came out, so it was a good game.
Here's the thing. Would you play this if it made you hold your Switch vertically?
No.
No? I don't know if it does that. I'm just, and vertical player support. Okay, yeah. So
only because I don't know. Maybe it's just me who gets it, but like there's a lot of shovelware on the Switch, and there's those games that are direct directly ported on mobile games that are on the Switch store.
Yeah.
It's like, you can play this sideways. I'm like, no, you only know how to make it sideways.
Well, I mean, at least a pinball machine has like a or a pinball game has a justification in real life as to why they would do that. However, I can't imagine holding it that way. I'm lucky enough not to. What's that?
It's got to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean, are you holding it like a phone on one end and then using the buttons on a Joy-Con? I don't know. I don't know about that.
Do you have to do touchscreen? Do you have to use like the Joy-Con grip controller to play it while it's long?
Oh gosh, I don't know. You would think, right? You would think you'd use the bottom Joy-Con is what I would assume.
Bottom Joy-Con?
Yeah. Doesn't say. What?
I would be afraid it would break because now you're holding the weight of
yeah, it just snaps right off.
Huh.
And it's gone. Well, it has HD rumble, so at least they made use of that.
Oh, great. Just what I love in my games, that loud vibration that shakes your whole body.
I heard that. What are you doing over there? I know, right? Also, the buttons are very clicky on that controller, on those Joy-Cons. That comes out on the 13th of September. So while you're, waiting to relive all your Star Wars fantasies in movie and game form, you can relive them in pinball form.
Awesome.
Yes. And then the other bit of news for Nintendo. Now, this is an off the wall thing. I tried to pick something that nobody would probably talk about. And I'm only passingly familiar with this game. The game being Remothered. Now, from what I know, because I've seen this on Steam and I've wanted to buy it because it looks like a off-brand Silent Hill game, almost mixed with something like Layers of Fear, but not quite psychologically trippy. The Remothered sequel called Going Porcelain, which is very confusing because it's just a weird name, is heading to Nintendo Switch, which is their first game coming to Switch this year.
Interesting.
It was announced last night at the 2019 Italian Video Game Awards. Did you watch those like I did?
If only I had known they were going on.
I know, right? I had the subtitles going, but it's still all the same, right? So the sequel, of course, the original being Tormented Fathers. It's Nintendo Switch bound. What's that?
Of course.
Yes, of course. You can expect to get your hands on the sequel sometime next year, as it is. Oh, okay. It's the first game to come out in 2020, I believe, for the Switch. Are you serious with me right now?
On all three platforms.
Wow. So it'll be the first 2020. So is it coming out January 1st, 2020? Is that what we're saying?
Whoever wrote this is not a wordsmith and is not using proper punctuation or grammar.
Yeah. And when I'm reading it and I'm not a speech smith, then you just got compounding layers of problems going on right now. I literally do not see an actual release date anywhere. I just see it's listed as 2020. So how is that the first game coming to Switch this year? If it's releasing in 2020, why is it being released this year, our year of 2019? None of this makes any sense, but all you need to know.
I figured it out.
What's the secret?
The time difference, Italy is a year ahead of us.
I'm done. I can't do this anymore. That's just ridiculous. Who wrote this article? What a goof. All you need to know. None of any of that really mattered other than there's a weird game called Remothered and its sequel is coming to Switch. That's really all that I wanted to point out because obviously I don't know how the world works in time in relation to any of this. So are you familiar with
just Italy?
That's true. I need the subtitles for Italian time to be on, so I can understand. Are you familiar with Remothered whatsoever?
No, this is the first I'm hearing of it.
Okay, it's on Steam for. What's that?
Sounds interesting though.
It's on Steam for like $10, and I think it's like okay. It's like for $10 you could do a lot worse. Something of that nature. But
a Game of Thrones game.
yeah, exactly. Well, it's either Game of Thrones game or this one. So, I'll let you choose which is the better spending of $10. So that's your Nintendo lot, my friend. He's buying it right now. Josh is on Steam. He's like, yep, add that to cart. Remothered, Tortured Fathers.
There's like creepy mannequins in it.
I told you it's off-brand Silent Hill.
It looks like, yeah, it looks like, okay.
I think there actually was some comparison to Clock Tower, actually, which I know will perk up Donnie's ears. Because you're running from someone, you're in a house and you're running away from a murderer or something of that nature.
Very cool.
Sounds like it.
I got distracted by the languages.
Oh, okay.
It's available and not much for English.
Shall you take us away to the PlayStation Island, my friend?
Let's do some fun news. I'm sure that PSXP is going to love this.
Okay.
So, I'm just going to read from this article. The most requested, well, we all know this. The most requested PlayStation 4 feature is live. Name changes. And here's how to use it. It's as simple as these steps I'm going to read to you.
Okay.
First, I got to find it. And then,
I'm going to guess at some point you have to email someone.
Step 1, turn on your PlayStation and navigate to settings. This is going to be a good how-to for our listeners.
Okay.
2, open settings and then open account management.
I'm already lost.
Now, just so you know, on Xbox, you just go to change gamertag and you change your gamertag.
Oh, so comparatively, there was already a precedent set, and they decided to ignore all of that.
Yeah, just for reference.
Okay.
3, next step is to click on account information. 4, then profile. 5, then online ID. 6, after clicking through a couple of warning screens, we'll get to those in a minute, there's one final step, reconfirming your email and password for PSN. 7, it's time to choose a new name. Okay, great. Sony offers a bunch of totally bizarre suggestions, which happens everywhere.
Yes.
You only get one free PlayStation Network ID change. Every other time it's $10 to change your ID.
Oof. Oh, there's another way to spend $10. There we go.
Also, I believe you get one name change a year on Xbox, but it might just be once. And then you do have to also pay. I don't know the price difference, though. Perhaps you can do it through a web browser. You can.
Okay. That sounds better.
Change your PSN ID through the web is go over to their website and do all the same things. Now, beware. If you would like to change your PlayStation Network ID, your experience with some games could be impacted.
Do my trophies transfer?
You could lose your trophies.
Not my trophies.
Progress within your games. You could lose game saves, leaderboard data, parts of your games and applications. They might not function properly, both online and offline in the future. You might lose access to content, including paid for content that you may have already acquired from your games,
right? Including
content like add-ons and virtual currency.
Okay,
not insignificant stuff.
No, but also it definitely sounds like a fair trade-off if you think about it.
So 7 easy steps. You might lose all your info.
You can't play
overly harsh because that's my role, is to be a little harsh on PlayStation.
Do you think maybe they're making it that hard to do so that people, so that people don't constantly do it? But then at the same time, I'm thinking, who doesn't want $10? You know what I mean? If they make it $10.
Yeah, I mean, whatever I'm assuming it's an infrastructure problem, because like Sean Layden's like, we've been working very hard to get this to. So something they built in their system made it very hard to do name changes, which all that means is they didn't have the foresight to think of doing that, which is fine. I think that goes all the way back to like PlayStation 2 when it first came out. So, I mean, that could be part of it, but I mean, bad news for Sean Capri. If he's trying to stick with his PSN name, Awesome Schlong, Sony is automatically changing offensive PlayStation usernames that they just started doing today. So they automatically change it for you. They don't message you and say, change your gamer tag.
Yeah.
Change it.
They just do it for you. And then they charge you $10 and you lose access to all your stuff.
Yeah, if you really want to do that, you gotta you gotta change it. I will say, when Xbox Live originally came out, I've been a member since it first launched on the 360. No, on Xbox. My gamer tag was "shot my left nut." Based on
Why would you want to change that?
I didn't want to. It was named after a friend of mine who that happened to in a paintball game, and he lost it. So I thought it was funny to change to create my gamer tag as that.
In remembrance, of course.
And then I got an email from Xbox like 6 years later, and they said, "We changed our code of conduct, and you need to change your gamer tag name."
for violence, not for the nut thing. It's like, we don't allow violence in names.
Could be it.
In PlayStation's defense, maybe I'm sure somebody will say, well, they only made it that easy on Xbox because Xbox players are stupid and they just need very simple press button, change name.
Yeah,
so they can be 420 Gold Farmer, weed is life or whatever.
It could be because all us Xbots are simpletons. It's very possible.
See, we're not just hating on PlayStation. Well, Josh is, but I'm not. I'm defending a console that I literally have never owned in my life. How about that?
Kyle still loves to point out that all my favorite games are on the PlayStation, so I can't really come down too hard on the PlayStation.
There you go. See? Well, yeah, you just said Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah,
and Spider-Man and God of War and Uncharted, and I could go on.
They do have some pretty solid. See, that's the thing about PlayStation. Xbox, they dip their toes into the PC market, so I'm like, well, I don't really need an Xbox. PlayStation, though, always eluded me with their exclusives. So, yeah. And then I tried PS Now, and then of course they're like, well, you still need a DualShock controller. And I said, do you realize I'm poor? So, I am a little concerned that they didn't take the chance to be funny here, and instead they decided to change names to like Temp 36789 instead of
whatever numbers are available.
Instead of some hilarious, Joker monkey. Okay, maybe not. I can't think of anything hilarious on the spot, but I think Sony could. What?
That was your hilarious gamer tag?
Yeah. Yeah, that was feel free to take that one. They have to physically hire someone to come up with the temporary names. That's why they didn't do it. They're like, well, we'll just let the computer do it so we don't have to hire somebody.
Yes. So PSXP, Justin, Seth, leave me alone. Kyle, I still love PlayStation, but you have to admit, this is ridiculous that one, it took this long, and two, this is the process, and you may also lose. People are like, oh, it doesn't bother me because I don't own any of those games on the list. But what about the people who own every single game on that list?
Yeah, then they're tied. They can't do it ever.
So that's a bad defense by saying that you don't own the games that might never work again.
Not my problem. Well,
that's all the news.
That is all the news. As we like to say, should we just hitch up and head out before we've overstayed our welcome? Overstayed? Overstewed? Overstayed.
These notes say we're supposed to have a big man hug, so I don't know how we end the show without that.
I wrote that in there I think it was the first time I was on the show, and it has stayed ever since. And I love that. So how about a verbal man hug by me asking you where people can find you?
Oh, okay. We can do that.
Okay.
You can find me. I mean, I'm just going to plug Board with Video Games. I have a podcast that I do with Kyle Hyman of PSVG fame. And we talk to a lot of board game people. We try to stay in our own lane, so we don't try to get video game people on. We just talk about video games. So
yes.
This week we have Peter McPherson on, who designed a game called Tiny Towns by AEG Games, which is getting a whole lot of buzz. And I played it at PAX Unplugged. It was very good. So this should be a fun. We're just doing an interview. He's not joining us for the whole show, like sometimes our guests do. So then Kyle,
I feel bad for them.
Show after. So look forward to that. And if you didn't listen last week, we had Emerson Matsuch. No, we didn't. We didn't have a guest on. Whoa.
Yes, it was just you guys. I was gonna say because I'm 2 episodes behind, and that was the Matsuchi episode, which was a really good. If you need a place to jump in on that episode because I found it to be very good, and he was a very good guest too. By the way, very knowledgeable, and he's awesome. What more do you need to say?
Yeah, I guess we did have some audio issues at the beginning where it sounded like we were stepping on his lines or interrupting him. We were not. There was a lot of
Kevin
made of it, and Kyle heard it, and then he listened to the episode, and I guess it got better at the end, but we were by no means willing, fully interrupting him by any stretch. So I guess it's a little weird.
Do you know where he was? Not to continue going for too long, but do you know where he was Skyping in from or whatever?
He was in his basement. He also didn't have a microphone. He was using his webcam for audio as well. So I think that kind of was another reason why that was happening.
Oh, okay. But he was in the US though, right?
He's in New York. He lives in New York.
Okay. I was like, well, maybe if he was, in Japan at the time or something, then, or France. I didn't say Japan just because his name is Matsushi. Gosh. All right. Well, okay. On that note, I'm going to say you can find me on the Discord, basically. I also am on Twitter. I did tweet about a book that I read, and I tweeted it at Bryan Cranston, and he has not said anything back to me. Therefore, I hate him now. But anyways, you can tweet at me at heavymetal_riff, and I will also ignore things that people say to me on Twitter. Join us on Discord, PSVG. We talk about a lot of different things. You'll go in there and you'll see all sorts of different things. Retro gaming. Each console has their own place. There's a PC place that's gathering cobwebs as we speak. But yeah, for that's the end of the show for PSVG Prime. This is Lucas signing off.
This has been a PSVG production. Any music, sound effects, or the like is owned by their respective copyright holders. No infringement is intended. The views expressed in this production are those of the individual contributor and may not necessarily reflect PSVG. This production may not be repurposed, reused, or redistributed without the express written consent of PSVG. PSVG is powered by patrons at patreon.com/PSVG. Become a patron to get special perks, including access to exclusive content.